Hey everybody, Katie here, and today I'm going to be doing a 12 by 12 layout using a photo of my daughter's. I believe this photo is printed 4 by 4, but just to make sure I am going to measure the photo. And before I started making the layout, I selected my pattern papers and color scheme, so I'm going to use a piece of Stampin' Up! Cardstock in the color of Pool Party to map my photo. I decided to leave the top and bottom white border on the photo because I kind of like it. I had already selected 3 papers from the Recollections Happy Day paper collection, which I got at Michael's. So I'm placing the patterns, trying to decide which order I want them in. I like the gold on the outside and pink on the inside, leaving the bold colors in the middle. I feel this tones the paper down a bit. And I'm going to cut my pattern paper to 5 by 6 for this project. Now I need to do my rough draft of my project, figuring out where I want the photo placement. When I picked out my pattern paper, I also picked out embellishments that fit my color scheme and feelings I envisioned for this page. So I'm taking my layout to the fitting room, trying on all sorts of pieces. I'm trying to find the perfect outfit, and if I can only find it by trying on all sorts of different pieces. So as you can see, I'm just kind of putting everything in random places, looking at everything. I did spend about 20 minutes picking out embellishments before I even started, so some of these obviously aren't going to make the cut. I have more embellishments than I have, well, I guess not space, it is a 12 by 12, but more embellishments than I want to use. But sometimes you just got to see how things go together. I really like those little banners. I'm using things from a lot of different collections, just things that I've collected over the course of, well, really the past about 3 or 4 weeks. I made a pretty big purchase, well, for me, a big purchase of just embellishments. So I wanted to use gold in this layout, so that's why I picked out the gold palms and some other gold elements, but I didn't want the gold to overwhelm the layout. I just wanted to kind of be an accent, and I really was digging those gold palm leaves. I just think they're so pretty. They're from the crepe paper, from crepe paper Oasis collection, and I really liked them. But ultimately, I tried to use them, but I decided they didn't really fit the feeling I was going for, which you'll see in a little bit. I find that doing this dressing room layout for my layout, just taking it to the fitting room and having it try on all the pieces, really kind of helps me direct my feelings as to how I want my page to go. And then whoosh, take everything off. Now you couldn't really see that gold polka dot piece that I had there because it was being covered up by all the embellishments, and that's not really, it's not good to put something there that's covered, right? So I kind of, as you see, I took the palm leaves off, and now I'm just kind of working with a little fewer embellishments, smaller pieces, and figuring out how I want them. So I think I found the right outfit for my layout. I did decide that I wanted the word sisters in here somehow, so I went to my computer and using the Albrecht font, I printed sisters on vellum. But since I found the right outfit, I start to attach the pieces using adhesive. I do tend to go from the top layer down. I just find it's easier for me to see how everything is coming together when I do that. On some pieces, I do use the Stampin' Dimensionals from Stampin' Up! Because they give a little lift to some of the pieces, which keeps everything from being so flat on the page. I find when you scrapbook, it is important to have some dimension and not just everything laying flat. That's why I tried to do some digital scrapbooking a few years ago. It was very hard for me because I didn't have that lift on the paper. Everything was flat. I've seen some beautiful things, just when I do it, I have to then add some real paper on top of the digital layout. Now I had to find the perfect spot to adhere that vellum because I don't want my glue to show. So now I'm going to test where I want to put my photo layer, just so I can see what I'm working with. I decided I wanted a little more on the top so I could have space for journaling. And since I adhere from the top down, this is when I start gluing all of my pattern papers together. I'm going to look at it again, and for some reason I didn't quite cut my pattern paper exactly the same size, but it's really not a problem. I can just use my paper trimmer to make it even. So I really did want to use those banners, so I found a perfect little spot for them in the corner there. And I did use some Stampin' Dimensionals to give the photo layer a lift. These dimensionals are so easy to use. I really love them. You just peel off the backs and it's all ready and done. I go ahead and I attach the paper layer to my white cardstock. Now on the gold tab, I wanted to stamp the date, so I used some number stamps that I have and Stampin' Up! Ink in the color of Pool Party to stamp 2017. I had forgotten to trim my white cardstock, so I went ahead and trimmed off a 1/2 inch on 2 sides. And then for some reason I thought that I would splatter on this layout. As you can see, I am not the best splatterer. I think I probably need a class in splattering. But you know how they say if something doesn't look right, make it look intentional. I tried that, but I just couldn't seem to do it. I had more trying to make it, but I'm just not feeling it. So I just take the pattern paper and the photo layer off the page. Just rip it off very carefully though, so as to not rip any of the actual elements. So now I'm just going to replace that pink striped pattern paper. Just have to cut it to size. So now I'm starting fresh, just a little regluing and stamp it dimensionaling, and it's good to go. I hadn't picked out my border page, but a quick flip through the paper pack helped solve that. I decided on a pink border because I really think it helps bring out all the pinks on the page. Now I was thinking about hand stitching the edges, but I realized I didn't have enough thread. So although I don't own a typewriter, I do have access to tons of typewriter fonts. So using my computer, I printed out the journal entry for this page. And if you look, you may notice a couple new elements to the page. The long golden arrow and a sliver of the outside pattern paper above the arrow, and a golden blue heart on the viewfinder of the camera. Those help hide the sliders I got on the elements that I couldn't trash. There are no mistakes in scrapbooking, just opportunities. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks!